Hi Math Stars. Today we will be working on lesson 6 problem set, and we are essentially just building our skills from what we did yesterday. So let's do some sample problems and then you all will be all good to go. So our first problem asks us to just essentially complete this number sentence. So complete this tape diagram. Estimate to partition each strip equally, write the unit fraction inside each unit, and shade the answer. So in our sample problem, we had 2/3 to begin. And if we remember from yesterday, if it's 2/3, we know that 3 will be our denominator. 3 will be our number on the bottom. And 2 appears to be the number that they want shaded. So 2/3 will be shaded. So how can we write this to equal a whole? Or in other words, how can we write thirds to equal 1? Well, we know that if we have thirds, then we have 3 equal pieces. So we would have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. This is our unit fraction. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. They put this in the tape diagram. 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. And the amount that is shaded is 2. So they shaded 2 out of the potential 3 boxes for 2/3 shaded. Moving on to our next sample, we have 3/4. Well, if it's fourths, we see 4 here. We know that our denominator, our number on the bottom, will be 4. And our numerator, our number on the top, our number that will be shaded, will be 3. If I'm dividing into equal parts, and if it's fourths, if I have 4 in the denominator, how many equal parts will I have if it's fourths? Well, I know that I'm going to have 4 equal parts. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, because that would equal 1. And that would be our unit fraction form. So I'm going to take my tape diagram and divide it into 4 equal pieces. One, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to write 1/4 in each of these boxes, because that symbolizes, that represents that each box is essentially 1/4 of the full tape diagram. And how many, or which boxes will I shade in then? How many need to be shaded? Well, 3, right? Because I have 3/4. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then you guys should be all good to go to do B, C, and D on your own. So just a hint, sevenths. What would be our denominator if it's sevenths? Well, 7, right? And then how many need to be shaded in? 3. Okay. Let's move on to question 2. Mr. Stevens bought 8 liters of soda for a party, and his guests drank 1 liter. Okay. So what would be our denominator? So what was the total number of soda that Mr. Stevens bought? Well, 8, right? Because he bought 8 liters. And we know that his guests drank 1 liter. So what would go here? What would be our denominator? Or numerator, I'm sorry. It would be the number that his guests drank. So how much did his guests drink again? They drank 1 liter. So this is how much they drink. So this is what would be shaded. And then our total is 8. And then your job is to find what fraction of the soda was left over. So I recommend that you draw yourself a tape diagram, and then you divide this tape diagram into 8 equal parts to figure out how much now is left over if his guests drink 1/8 or 1 liter. Okay, so if his guests drink 1/8 or 1 liter of the soda, how much is left over? So how many boxes are left? Okay. For the next page, this should be pretty simple stuff now because this is pretty much what we did yesterday. But let's do one sample problem to review. So the first box asks us the total number of equal parts. So what's the total here? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total number of equal parts would be 9. And the next box asks total number of shaded equal parts. So how many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are shaded. Our unit fraction is essentially just our total, our denominator on the bottom, and then how much does each box represent? Okay, well, we know our total is 9. And each box would represent how much? Well, just 1, right? So each box is 1/9 of this total diagram. And then moving on, fraction shaded. So what's our total again? So our total is 9, so that would be our denominator. And how many of these boxes are shaded? Well, we figured out that's 5, right? So our fraction shaded would be 5. Then you guys are tasked with doing B, C, D, and E on your own.